Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam damai sejahtera buat kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, dan salam kebajikan. Bertemu lagi dengan saya, Febi Mahendra Putra, Direktur Pemberitaan Tribun Network. Kali ini kita berada di kantor Kedutaan Besar Ukraina untuk Republik Indonesia di kawasan Kuningan, Jakarta. Dan sekarang saya telah bersama Bapak Duta Besar Ukraina, yaitu Bapak Dr. Vasil Hamianin. How are you, Mr. Ambassador?
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih.
I'm not fine because the situation in Ukraine, but can I speak?
Yes.
Actually, yeah. Saya ingin berbahasa Indonesia, tapi saya belum pandai berbahasa dengan lancar. Saya mau mengucapkan terima kasih kepada bapak-bapak atas kesempatan ini. And I'll go on speaking English if you allow me. First of all, I would like to say one thing which is important for me. Thank you so much for coming today, because today is a big holiday, and today is a state holiday of Republic of Indonesia, Nyepi Day. I especially wear this endek from Bali, dedicated to this day, and I want to wish the Indonesian nation, Indonesian people, peace, security, stability, and development. This is very important for the whole world now, and for Ukraine and Indonesia including. This is the, I want to start from something which is very painful for me today. Taking the understanding that this is the holiday of silence, day of silence, where people are just, coming down, no fighting, no arguing, like this. This is a very important sign. And it is this day that we discovered a lot of new provocations from Russian media, from Russian agents, I would say, of influence, from propaganda, trying to undermine Ukrainian tolerance towards the Muslim people. It's outrageous provocations, and I want you please to deliver this to every brother and every sister in Indonesia, especially to our Muslim brothers and sisters, that we would never ever tolerate the provocations, with zero tolerance toward the racism, towards the whatever intolerance between religions. And I will start with this, that Ukraine has rather big Muslim community. It's not as big as Indonesia, certainly, but we have around 2 million people who are Muslims and who were recently deprived of the right to live in their land in Crimea. And now many of them live in Ukraine. And when the war started, they were resisting all the time. They're doing a lot of efforts to protect the motherland. And when the war started, the battalions of Ukrainian Muslim people were formed in Ukraine under the auspices of Mufti of Ukraine, Mufti of Crimea, who in the interviews and the recent interviews, these two are good friends of us. And recently they had the online conference with the Muslim community of Indonesia, with Majelis Ulama Indonesia. And in his interview, when he was asked, what are you going to do? What Ukrainian Muslims are going to do? And the Mufti Said Ismagilov answered very simply, we're going to pray. And if necessary, we're going to fight. But pray is the most important thing, what we can do for this. To pray for peace, to pray for the freedom of our land. This is very important. And I repeat, I mean, we peacefully coexist in our country for long time, with various religious communities, various races and nations. According to the statistic, we have like over 100 ethnic groups in Ukraine. So we will be in existence. So please deliver this message to the Indonesian people.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't tolerate provocations,
Yeah, yeah.
and we are really unhappy and sad that Russian propaganda does this and share this now in the networks. It's outrageous. I'm very, very sad and very unhappy on this.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, can you tell us about the latest situation, especially in Kiev? I read in the media if 4 bombs is blast in the Kiev. Is it true?
No, it's not true, because it's dozens of bombs. It's not just 4, it's much more. And it was only yesterday that they were bombing the media center in Kiev and other cities. They destroyed the TV center. So that's, as for the journalists, my brothers and sisters journalists, this I think should be noted. Because they're now attacking the media, because media is very dangerous for Russian propaganda, people who tell the truth. And I know that, by the way, in Russia, recently they blocked a few channels who deliver the information about Ukraine.
Yes.
So what about Kiev, right? Now I go just 2 steps back, because the plan of Russia was to possess Kiev in 3 days, within 3 days.
Yeah.
Now they failed, very obviously, because the reason is very simple. Russia now is not Russian army in Ukraine is not fighting against Ukrainian army. It is fighting against the nation. And when my family is all there, they never moved. They refused to evacuate, so they stay in Kiev. My wife, my 3 kids, my mother, my grandmother, everybody is there. And as I see the videos of the girls like 8 to 9 years old telling that Russian soldiers, go home. If you don't, I will grow up and I will fight. So we have this resistance is really strong in Ukraine. So we've formed the we call it territorial defense troops under the military commands.
Yes.
So they defended not only Kiev, but all the cities which were attacked, and it was many. Now what happened then, when Putin understood that he was not able to possess it, so to get Kiev and to arrest the president of Ukraine and all the rest, they started bombing Kharkiv.
Yes.
Kharkiv is the second big city.
The second big city.
Yes, and it's very close to Russia. And the history of the communist Bolsheviks regime being imposed 100 years ago tells us what? The Bolshevik, which is communist troops from in that time, like 1918, were trying to attack Kiev and they failed.
Yes.
So they possessed Kharkiv and declared it the capital of Ukraine, making it the base for further attacks. So at that time, 100 years ago, they succeeded. This time they failed again. What they do is they're killing civilians. They're bombing the flats, bombing the center of the city with real bombs and missiles. So we don't even have the final statistics of the casualties during the bombardments of Kharkiv.
Yes.
We don't even have this.
Yes. What do you think about President Putin's comment about your president, Levinsky, is the neo-Nazi and drugs use? What do you think?
It will be very brief and simple answer, right? If we have the Nazi president who is torturing and genocide against Ukrainian people or Russian-speaking Ukrainian people, why then when Russian troops came, why then he became the true leader of the nation, and she showed himself as the leader, and people support him like never before. Never in the history of Ukraine, any leader of Ukraine got such a huge support and strong support from Russian-speaking, Ukrainian-speaking, Arab-speaking, whatever speaking people in Ukraine. He united the country, actually. And tell me, when there is a Nazi leader or like a fascist or something who is oppressing the people, and when it is the war, would the people act like this? It's absolutely opposite. I'm telling you what, It's very good, funny story. Yesterday I talked to your colleagues, to meet other media people, and to the journalists, and I suddenly came to the very clear thought, you know, to understand what is Russia about. You just need to take the narrative of Putin or Lavrov or whoever else from the propaganda and mirror it, reflect it. And it's so clear, no, it will show you the Russian reality. For example, Russia never fights against Ukraine. Don't turn it. Russia never, Ukraine threatens Russian security. Turn it. Now, about neo-Nazis, well, this is the open statistics. You can surf the Google, Wikipedia or something. The number of neo-Nazi organizations in Russia, it's like hundreds. And there are thousands and thousands of people are members of it. And they are very active. And they are even supportive. They are not forbidden. They are not banned from in Russia. In Ukraine, it's absolutely forbidden. And if there are some, they are underground and they are illegal. And if you ask you just can ask the students. It's open. Students from Africa, from everywhere. I saw the interview of the guy from Angola, I think, and from Sudan somewhere, and he was asked, how are you feeling in Ukraine? Because you like, you know, Nazi and all this stuff. He said, you know what? I'm really afraid. I've been afraid here for 5 years, but I never see the single Nazi and I was never cursed, beaten, or even threatened.
Yeah.
And he's black, just like real black guy. And he says, Slava Ukraini, no, glory to Ukraine, because I love these people. They are so friendly, so nice. It is like hundreds of such interviews. I'm not going to prove anything, but I would say that real tyrant, real dictator, right, will not be able to unite the people in defensive war against the aggressor. It's lies.
Pak Duta Besar, saya ingin bertanya kepada Anda, status Ukraina apakah sudah menjadi anggota NATO atau belum?
Belum.
Oh, belum.
Belum.
Can you explain about that?
Yes, of course, yes. Well, it's something that when you hear the Russian propaganda about the NATO and Ukraine, about this stuff, they don't tell you everything. They just tell you something without context, and then you start thinking that something is wrong, right? The context is this. NATO was created after the Second World War with the purpose to defend against possible provocations from the new dictator states, from the new fascist states like Nazi Germany was, right? That was the main purpose. And in the Charter of NATO, it is said that it is defensive. It's not attacking. It's not formed to attack or to do something, but to defend. And understanding that the core countries here were European countries, because they just experienced the war in Europe, and there are many small countries. It's like, you know, Lithuania, Latvia, like Finland, Norway. It's like 3 million, 5 million, 2 million people in every country. So they cannot oppose the huge aggressor like Soviet Union at that time, or maybe very strong Germany at that time. So they understand only Bersatu is the answer. Only united we can oppose the enemy. That's why the NATO was established. That's why European Union started to be considered, because united we are Pinaka Tungalika, another good idea for Ukraine. We are different. Everybody is speaking different languages and different cultures, and everything is different. Even religions are different in Europe. Everything is different. But united, we are the strong. We are strong, and we can oppose, and we can resist. That was the basis for this. And then you must understand that Ukraine have been fighting and opposing and resisting Russian first colonialism, sort of, then occupation for 300 years already, fighting all the time. In 17th century, in 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, fighting against Russia all the time. So our purpose was to protect ourselves against this, because we understood in 1991, when we became independent, that Russia will never give up. It just waits for its time. I just yesterday listened to the interview of our Muslim brother, General of Chechnya, Johar Dudayev. Dated 1995. and he told that it will be a huge clash between Russia and Ukraine. It will be war. It will be aggression. 1995. Yeah, it's obvious. All the people who understand Russia, they know it's inevitable. Now, they're accusing us again of going to NATO. It's a threat. Remember that before the attack on Ukraine in 2014, the scale of cooperation between NATO and Russia was huge. It cannot be compared with Ukraine. I mean, with Russia, they had military exercises. They have all sorts of exchanges, and they have the standardization, and they exchange of military equipment, etc. The cooperation was huge, and then they accuse Ukraine of having something indecent intentions to enter NATO and start fighting Russia. I mean, who would believe that Georgia in 2008 threatened Russia? Georgia, Russia, Ukraine, Russia. It's illogical if you think about it, right?
Yes.
I said this example. I don't want to. Please don't take it as like assault. But for Indonesian people, it's easier. It will be easier to understand. Now, if someone says, you know what, we feel the threat from Singapore. Singapore is going to fight us. What people think? Oh, guy, get lost here. What? What? Who? Indonesia? This is how we thought about the situation, and Ukraine was going to fight Russia. Right?
Yeah.
So NATO is not a threat. NATO is the shelter for the smaller nations to be protected well against the strong enemy and aggressive enemy. Indeed.
Oke, Pak Duta Besar, semua pihak menginginkan terjadi satu perundingan, ya, suatu diplomation, talking diplomation. Nah, Presiden Putin mensyaratkan bahwa mau berunding dengan Ukraine apabila Ukraine menjadi wilayah netral, ya, like Belarus, ya, dan mengakui Crimea, ya, control of Crimea, Russian control of Crimea Ukraine harus mengakui. Bagaimana menurut pendapat Pak Dubes mengenai syarat yang diajukan Presiden Putin?
Right. First of all, I repeat and repeat again. Nothing can justify a war. Nothing. No reasons. No your bad dreams or not or your good dream or I don't know, whatever. Nothing can justify the attack of the civilians.
Yes.
And killings and war crimes Russian army commits there. This is a full stop, because we can argue about the concerns of Russia, about the threats they can feel from NATO, whatever. It doesn't justify war, right? As for negotiations, well, Ukraine never ever said that we are not going to negotiate, because we've been trying to negotiate for eight years since the aggression on Donbass and occupation of Crimea. We never refused to talk, but the condition now of Ukraine for talks, for talks, is one: stop killing people, and then it is possible to talk. Because if you have your children killed here in the next room, and they're sitting smiling and say, "Please talk. We want peace," right? This doesn't work. This is outrageous, and it's only one condition for starting the talks. Yes. I'm not going about other conditions when we start talking, right? As for Putin, no, you were not, maybe you were a bit misinformed or something. It's not two conditions of Putin, it's three conditions. And the fourth condition is Crimea, yes. But the first condition is very simple. Ukraine should, as Putin said his words, demilitarize. Meaning that give up all the weapons. Now, you tell this to any citizen of any country, he will say the man is mad. I mean, what? Just give up all the weapons and become like defenseless, protectless? And how would we protect ourselves? Right? This one. Second one is denatization. We have to promise. Yeah, we have to promise, forever and ever not even to look at NATO direction. I would say that, well, we decide our destiny and future for ourselves, right? If Indonesia is told by someone you should leave ASEAN because it's no good for Indonesia. We should stop being non-allied country. What would you say? You laugh at him at least. You see, go away. I mean, we decide our destiny, right? We don't tell Putin whether to participate in this Eurasian Union or Shanghai Organization of Cooperation or whatever else. It's his decision for his country, right? Don't tell us whether to go to Europe or not, whether to join NATO or not. So this is not right. Third is, as I already explained, denazization. Denazization meaning, because we can read this, right? You may not know the history of Ukraine, but we know it well. So denazization means directly, without any backgrounds, meaning that we should dismiss the president, dismiss the government, accept Russian language as the second state language. This was the requirement, very straightforward from Russia during last 30 years. Russian is the second language. Then giving the autonomy to some regions of Ukraine, meaning they close to Russia. So it may make it federation, and then make the people like leaders of this pro-Russian. And the fourth, it means that the new president of Ukraine should be welcomed and accepted by Russian Federation. This is what they call denazization. So we don't accept these three, even not think about accepting them. So this is about negotiations. If you mean this recent, yesterday's negotiations on the border, right? Well, first of all, it looks very much hypocritic that they propose to hold negotiations in Belarus or on the border of Belarus, because as we know now, Belarus officially declared that it sent tanks to Ukrainian territory. It was not like the first day or first 2 days when they just allowed Russian troops to enter Ukraine through Belarusian border, but they moved their own troops. It's finished, right? So, okay, we went to this negotiation to the Belarus border, but I feel that the purpose of this proposal was, there were two goals of this. First one is, three maybe. First one is to regroup the army, to give a pause for themselves, because they were hit very hard. I mean, they are losing like thousands of people there and hundreds of tanks and everything. So they are being defeated now. So regroup and prepare for another attack. Second one is actually to discover the spirit of Ukraine, because they expected that the delegation comes to them and say, please stop the war, we are afraid, and what they had is, guys, go away from our land. Till the last, when the war stops, I would say that till the last invader leaves Ukraine or dies in Ukraine, till the last man. So that's when the war stops. So they were very disappointed, Kachewa, because they expected the fright and please stop it and everything. And the third one is the message to the world. They really expected that Ukraine wouldn't go because it is a war, it is a shelling and bombing of Kharkiv, and then they would have the reason to say, you see, we want negotiations, peaceful diplomacy, and Ukraine refused. You see, we managed to keep calm and made very good and right decision.
Tuan Duta Besar, apakah yang ingin diharapkan pemerintah Ukraina kepada pemerintah Indonesia terkait konflik dengan Rusia ini?
Thank you for this question. But please don't call this conflict, because it's not conflict, it's war. It's a full-scale war, and we do hope that people understand this. As I repeat, it's not a war between armies, it's a war against the nation. As for my expectations, yes, from the government of Indonesia, I would say very simple. First, I would like to thank you people, your government, for supporting Ukraine till now in the United Nations. It was very strong resolution passed yesterday, and the Indonesia was like of co-sponsors of it, main sponsors, and they pushed hard, and they worked also with, as far as I understand, worked with other delegations. So it was strong, and thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for the position expressed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I'm grateful to the President Jokowi, and I'm grateful to Menteri Ibu Retno for saying words of support. However, I repeat this again, I really expect something stronger from the government of Indonesia in terms of condemnation of the aggression from Russia. Yeah. Because if we really feel like supporting the state under war, yes, under attack, under bombings and under killings of civilians, we should name the aggressor first. It's very important to name the aggressor. Otherwise, it remains like nameless. And when Russian propaganda states that whatever country says that we are for peace and against the war, they say, you know what, we're also for peace. And those who fight there is Nazi, Ukrainian, or nationalist, whatever. It's not Russian army, you know. So if we don't name the aggressor, it can be twisted by the propaganda of Russian Federation. So name the aggressor and condemn the war. This is important. Yeah. Condemn the aggressor. Yeah. And also, of course, we expect, well, I'm sincerely expect this, that the government of Indonesia will support Ukraine in other directions. For example, like we have the list of like more than 200 companies left Russia, seized contracts with the Russian Federation, stopped providing them military equipment, stopped providing them credits and loans, closing skies for Russian aircrafts, cancelling visas for Russian tourists, etc., etc. Something tangible which will really work. Why is this? I do understand the concerns of all the countries in the world for the losses could be caused by the sanctions or something. But as one of the European leaders mentioned maybe the day before yesterday, he said that we understand that this influence on our economy will be bad also. Yes. However, we pay the price. We pay the price for the future of our children. And we pay the price for the peace and stability globally in the world, you know. So whatever happens, whoever does something against Russia to make them stop the aggression, it will be the price you pay for your children, for your grandchildren, for your future or your nation.
Ya. Menurut perkiraan Pak Duta Besar, apakah perang ini nanti akan berkepanjangan sampai bisa menghasilkan World War III atau hanya akan pendek saja perang ini?
Well, our praise is this, our praise and my hope, and I would say that nobody is expecting this third world war, because this will be the catastrophe of unprecedented scale, and of course we never ever would think or even like we would never be hoping anything like this could happen, right? But if we have the mad dictator with the nuclear weapons in his hands, and who also started threatening the nations with a nuclear strike and something, we understand that something may go unpredictable. We understand this, yes. But this is not about Ukraine, in fact. That's why we want more pressure on him, more pressure on Russia as a country, for the people of Russia also, for the businesses, for the militaries to understand that this is not right. We have to stop this immediately and just finish the talks about nuclear weapons and everything like this. However, I would say that what I hope really, right, that I hope the war stopped this minute. It's we don't want it long. Nobody wants it long. I'm telling you what, the mothers of the soldiers who were killed in Ukraine and will be killed these days, they don't want it too. In Russia, I mean, they don't want it. Because, they send the son for military exercise to Belarus. And now they receive coffin with the body of the son, like guys like 19, 20 years old. What mother would agree with this? What people would support this, right? No, nobody. So nobody wants this war except one man. We know the name. And but I think that this system, I try to explain this, the system of nuclear strike is not simple. I mean, if you want really to strike, it's not like in the films, like you press the button and go. No, it doesn't work like this. You just cannot hack this thing like from the computer and let them go. It's not like this.
Yes.
Because I was in this sort of museum of nuclear weapons in Ukraine, and it's complicated procedure, right? It doesn't go for seconds. It goes for a long, long time. Many people are involved, many passwords and everything. So I hope...
Very complicated, eh?
Yes. I hope that in this, like, people who are involved, at least one or two will be clever and sober, and they would stop this chain, like cut off this chain. Don't let it happen, right? Second thing is, do you know that Russian so-called invincible nuclear weapons, all these missiles and everything were made back in 60s? So it's old, 60s, 70s. 60s. It's like 50, 60 years old, every missile, right? Can you imagine, right? Any weapon 60 years on place, never used, right?
Yeah.
It's dangerous, and what is important, it is 100% of those things were made in Ukraine in those times. We have the plant, and 100% of it is Ukraine made, right? Now, since the collapse of the Soviet Union for 30 years, right? Every year there is a maintenance for those missiles. Maintenance, like have to, check and look if it is still goes, if it doesn't explode in the well when it started, blah, blah, blah. Now, it's only Ukrainian experts and engineers can do this work. So every year there's a big group of people going to Russia and ensures the maintenance of this. Now, from 2014, not a single person went to Russia and do this. So for 8 years, there was no maintenance for these missiles. And I don't think that any clever man would start it, because if it explodes under or on the surface, so it will be nuclear winter for Russia only, right? So we do not expect anything stupid coming from these people in Russian government. And we want this war to stop immediately.
Yeah. The last question, Mr. Ambassador. Bagaimana kondisi keluarga Pak Duta Besar di Ukraina sekarang? Apakah dalam kondisi selamat, atau bagaimana, atau baik-baik saja? Bisa diceritakan?
I would not say that we are having a humanitarian catastrophe right now, but we are close to this, because maybe, perhaps, I hope not, I pray that it wouldn't happen, but they all stay in Kiev, in the small city near Kiev, and my mother is just in the city, line. So I have the conversations with them every day, and they say that, well, we can hear all the explosions and everything, and fight on the streets, and bombs and bombardments and everything. We can saw missiles flying and hitting something. By now, it's very difficult, because we're a big family, and plus we have cats and dogs and everything. So we have a big family, right? We need to eat every day. And then because it's winter in Ukraine now. So my daughter got pneumonia, and my son got flu. And they cannot buy medicines because the logistic chains are broken. I mean, di dalam gudang ada banyak barang-barang itu, like for makanan, for medicine, but they cannot deliver because roads are not safe. Roads can be attacked, right? So everything is there, but they cannot be delivered to the pharmacy, to the toko. So this is a problem, but they are very calm. They don't panic. When I talk to my mother and they say, Mother, would you go somewhere like to the western part of Ukraine and to the relatives who live there? Say, you know what? I am 73 years old. I have pain in my back. I have pain in my hand. And I have 3 cats, and I have the turtle there. And where should I go? If I die here in my motherland, in my loved Kiev. So I would not go anywhere. This is what they think, and my mother is really like a fighter. If she is given something, she would be very furious. I mean, if she is given the like padang atau I don't know, golok, she will be very dangerous, very dangerous for invaders. Yes.
Terima kasih Pak Duta Besar Ukraina untuk Republik Indonesia, Pak Dr. Vasil Hamianin, atas wawancara kita dan kesempatan hari ini. Dan kami berharap tentu saja perang ini akan segera berakhir dan bisa diselesaikan lewat jalan perundingan, negotiation, diplomatik, ya, dan tidak menggunakan jalan kekerasan. Demikian Tribuners, kita sudah ngobrol luar biasa ini dengan Pak Duta Besar Ukraina di Republik Indonesia, Pak Dr. Vasil Hamianin. Dan saya Febi Mahendra Putra pamit undur diri. Kita akan bertemu lagi dan ngobrol dalam wawancara yang lain. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam damai sejahtera buat kita semua. Shalom, Om Santi Santi, Om Namo Buddhaya, dan salam kebajikan serta tidak lupa salam sehat buat kita semua.